Want to welcome everyone to our April 7th, 2021 Board of Supervisors meeting for Schuylkill Township. We did hold an executive session this evening before our meeting where we discussed personnel issues, property acquisition, potential property acquisition, and potential litigation. At this moment, we're going to have a public hearing, and I would like to turn the meeting over to Bill Brennan. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. This is a conditional use application under our zoning ordinance for relief in the nature of permission to demolish a portion of an historic property. The applicants propose to demolish a section of the property and rebuild it under very specific terms and conditions. This is necessary because the zoning ordinance says that there must be specific permission to demolish a property that's protected under the historic ordinance. The applicants are Jennifer and Christopher Duerr, D-U-E-R-R. The property is 480 South 2nd Avenue in Phoenixville Post Office. The zoning district is R2. The lot size is 1.45 acres. It's tax parcel 23-3P-5. And first, I need to know that Tom Corcoran's up and running, okay? And do we have the applicants at least present to follow the proceedings?
Yes, I'm promoting, looks like Christopher.
I am present.
Very good.
Okay. As a matter of housekeeping, before we begin, I'd like to identify and introduce 8 township exhibits, which will set forth the basic structure of our hearing. Exhibit T1 is the formal conditional use application signed by the applicants referring to the zoning chapter 370, 174, and 370-55, which are the sections that deal with the requirement for a conditional use when demolishing a portion of a historic structure. Exhibit T2 is a plan which shows the property, the area that's to be demolished and rebuilt. Exhibit 3 is an aerial photograph showing the same area, including the area to be demolished. Exhibit T4 is an architect's drawing of the how the original portion will look and the new addition, how it will look, after the construction is completed. Exhibit T5 is the text of the notice of public hearing, which was advertised as required by the Pennsylvania MPC. T Exhibit 6 is a copy of the 2 advertisements as required, and it also includes an affidavit of publication from the 21st Century Media Group. Exhibit T7 is the recommendation to the Board of Supervisors from the Township Historical Commission, indicating that they approve of the proposal to demolish the addition, provided that the reconstruction is done in the way that has been proposed in this hearing. The second part of that is an email confirming the same information that has been delivered by the Historic Commission. And T8 is simply an agenda request form indicating the compliance of the applicant to be before you tonight. Now, the way this normally works is after the township's documents are identified, we turn the hearing over to the applicant to be sworn by Tom and to then explain to the board members what the project is about and why it's necessary to demolish something with historic significance. Now, a conditional use is the equivalent to a special exception in zoning, and the law is that it's presumed to be permitted unless there is material and substantial evidence against it, which would demonstrate that the public interest is damaged in some way. So with that, and I don't know if there's counsel for the applicants, doesn't need to be. With that, I would turn the matter over to the applicants and ask for an explanation of what the project is about and why they are proposing to do what they propose. Are the applicants with us?
Yes, I'm
Yes.
here.
Okay. Can you state your name and be sworn by our court reporter?
Sure. Christopher D. Dewar.
Tom, we can't hear
Tom,
you.
you appear to be muted.
I have him muted. I never unmuted him. My apologies.
Oh,
There you go,
there we
Tom.
go.
There
Now
we
I
go,
feel
okay.
important. Yes, sir. Sir, do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for hearing us this evening. We come before you with our presentation. Essentially, we would like to do some renovations and additions to our house. And in order to accomplish that, the best course of action to build what we want would be to tear down a portion of the structure. The portion that we're looking to have demolished, although historic, is more recent historic than the older part. We're going to take some caution to save the older original part and basically upgrade the current structure to everyday living standards, making it a little bit more usable. That type of renovation. That's it in a nutshell. Unless there's I guess I have some questions, but that's our intent.
All right, let me ask just a couple of questions, Mr. Dewar. Now, you're also going before the zoning hearing board on Monday night for other forms of relief necessary because of the change in circumstances. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, we are looking to apply for a variance. The original structure was constructed well before any kind of zoning in place, and was basically jammed up to the rear property lines. So we're going to look for some relief on that.
All right, and would you agree to a condition to the grant of relief, which would say that if you get the conditional use, that you would build the project consistent with Exhibit T4, which is the architectural drawing? In other words, we want to make sure there's no bait and switch here where you get the permission and build something else.
No, correct. No, that's the plan as it is right now, and that's how we want to move forward with it. So yeah, we don't plan to deviate too much from that.
All right. All right. Are there any questions from the board of Mr. Dewar about this application and the historic ordinance and the reason for the conditional use?
I have nothing. Let me see here. Bob, do you have any questions?
No, I know the historical commission looked at this and gave a thumbs up.
Okay. Tim, do you have any questions?
I have none.
Okay. Mark, do you have any questions?
No.
Susan, do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. Yes, I just want to just repeat what Bob said. I was present at the presentation that you gave before the Historical Commission. I think this is going to be beautiful when it's done. So
I hope so.
if you get everything that you're asking for, let me put it to you that way.
All right, let me, if I may go back on the record, EJ, can you confirm that there is no public opposition? Is there anyone raising their hand to speak in opposition, particularly to this application?
No, there's no public comment. I should note that my usual spiel about the virtual procedure for public comment, I didn't give before the hearing. So just if I could real quick, anyone who's watching or listening, if you do desire to submit any comment or question on the application, please use the question feature on the GoToWebinar and type in your question or comments. Please include your name and address as well.
All right, is there anything else for our record from Mr. Dewar or from the board?
I don't have
All right,
anything.
Seeing none, the record is now closed. Now, members of the board, the MPC requires a written decision within 45 days. However, you are entitled to vote this evening. There must be a public vote. So it is my respectful suggestion that if you're satisfied that this is something that there's no objection about, that you can vote tonight. The decision will be made tonight, and then my duty would be to present a written opinion within 45 days. The only suggestion I would make is that conditions should be added to the relief, making sure that the applicant agrees to rebuild and consistent with T4, which is the architectural drawing. So if the board, and you don't have to do that, that's just a suggestion that I would make, but it's totally up to you. So Martha, it's your pleasure. You can vote now, or you can reconvene and vote because the written decision is due in 45 days.
Okay, I will make the motion that we approve this application based on the condition that everything is, all right, but Bill, you're gonna have to
Consistent with
help me.
T4.
Thank you. Consistent with,
the building, that the area of demolition is replaced consistent with Exhibit T4 as presented this evening, which is the architectural drawing which the applicant has prepared.
thank you very much. So I made that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, we have Tim has seconded it. Do we have any other comments or questions? EJ, do we have any public comment or questions?
No.
Okay. Bob, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Susan, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. So the motion passes.
All right, for our record, Tom, I will make sure you get exhibits T1 through T8, and then I will make sure that the written decision is out as soon as possible. All right, this would conclude our proceedings. Thank you, Mr. Doerr, for participating, and you'll get the written decision shortly.
Great, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
We'll see you Monday night.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Tom.
Tom.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Tom.
thanks. A little
Have a good
shorter
night.
than Wawa. Little shorter than Wawa. That was-
Less painful.
And the polling thing, unless they put a Wawa there. I don't know. All right, see you later. Thank you.
Don't even suggest that.
Bye, Tom.
You better leave
Good
before you
night,
say anything.
Tom. Thank
Good
you.
night.
Oh, man.
Okay, with the hearing done, I will move on to our regular business meeting. I'd like to call to order and have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
For which
it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, EJ, overview of the virtual meeting protocols. I know you kind of went through this with the hearing. Did you want to do it again?
No, unless you want me to.
Okay.
Moving on.
Okay, moving on to our consent agenda. Acceptance of the minutes of the Board of Supervisors, March 3rd, 2020 business meeting. There was no workshop meeting held in March of 2021. And acceptance of reports, all departmental, committee, commission, and council reports as posted and received by the Board of Supervisors for the month of March 2021. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, it was seconded by Mark. Do we have any comments or questions from the board? Okay, Bob, how do you vote?
Yes.
Tim, how do you vote? Tim, I didn't hear you.
Yes, sorry, Martha.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you. Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Susan, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Okay. Madeline, could you possibly zoom in a little bit? The print on this is really tiny. Thank you very much. The treasurer's report and payments of bills for the period ending March 31st, 2021. Consideration of acceptance of the treasurer's report and approval to pay the bills. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, it was seconded by Mark. And any comments from you, EJ, our treasurer?
I'll just give a brief report. The general fund balance as of the end of March was $3,252,440, an increase of about $200,000 over the previous month. Through the end of March, we've received about 24% of our budgeted general fund revenues and have spent approximately 20% of our budgeted general fund expenditures, and real estate taxes have started coming in. So about $440,000 in real estate taxes rolled in the month of March.
Okay, do we have any public comment on this, EJ? I forgot to ask about the last one.
No, I was checking it. No, we haven't had any.
Okay, all right. Do we have any comments or questions from the board? No, okay, Bob, how do you vote?
Yes.
Tim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Susan, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Okay, 2-minute reports from board liaisons. Bob, do you have any 2-minute reports?
All is good. Nothing to report.
Okay. Tim, I don't think we have appointed you to anything at this point. So no, you don't have anything.
You can
Okay.
still have something to report. He might.
Count yourself lucky.
I passed, Mark.
You'll be getting something, Tim.
Susan?
Mark, do you have anything to report?
Yeah, we covered some consistency reviews for East Pikeland and Charlestown with workforce housing and DeVault Foods, respectively. I think they're upgrading. Well, they're trying to build some workforce housing in East Pikeland, and DeVault is converting to like a Beyond Meat factory or something. So that was interesting. So.
Okay.
Other than that,
Right.
I think we covered the needs analysis in the Planning Commission.
Okay. Okay. And Susan, do you have anything?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay. The only thing I have to report is that our real estate tax bills did go out this month. And if no one received one, please do contact our tax collector, Aaron Kern. His contact information is up on our website. And just to remind everyone that if you didn't receive a bill, it doesn't mean you don't have to pay it. It means that you need to contact Aaron to get a copy of it. So they did go out, and I hope everyone pays them. Okay.
Oh, hey, Martha, sorry, I forgot. The planning, regional planning, the comprehensive plan review, it's we should be moving into Act 247 review of the regional comp plan after April 28th, after our April 28th meeting. It'll get sent to Chester County for the review, and then we'll be looking at municipal adoption hearings to follow shortly.
Okay, great.
So
All right.
that's moving forward.
Okay, anything else from anyone? All right, EJ.
Yes, of course. So one thing, just based on a comment Mark just made, and we don't really need to discuss it or have a decision, or don't need a decision tonight, but one thing for the board to think about is as the regional comp plan moves into the county review stages, whether or not you want to have the new township engineer do a review of the comprehensive plan. We didn't the last time around. That was before TNM was brought on board. So just again, we don't have to discuss. Maybe we could discuss that at the workshop next week. Paul will be there. Just briefly discuss, what that process might look like. I haven't discussed this with these guys at all, so I don't want to put them on the spot right now. But it just made me think of that when Mark mentioned that. It's totally up to the board whether or not you want to have them review it. So my 2-minute reports, I have a couple or a few. The TFAC, the Traffic Impact Fee Advisory Committee, is having their third status meeting on April 22nd. The primary purpose of that meeting will be to review the final draft of the land use assumptions report, which is the first major step in the Act 205 process. It's not 205. I said that wrong. Is it 205? The traffic study, Russ and Paul? I'm putting you on the spot
Yeah,
now.
I don't think it's 245, but you're putting me on the spot for the number.
Yeah, I'm getting it confused with our Act 205 pension valuation, which was my next 2-minute report. So I'll just roll right into that. The pension committee met back on March 18th for our annual pension committee meeting. That's the 205. Every other year, our actuary conducts a 205 valuation report of the status of our pensions. So that is due this year. We'll be getting that a little later in this year. That's going to reflect years 2019 and 2020, which are both very strong years for both the non-uniform and police pensions. We saw roughly 35 to 36% growth for both funds over that 2-year period. So there's likely to be some potentially recommended changes as a result of those strong years in our 205 valuation. So when we get that, we'll have a discussion a little later on, and any changes made to any of the pension investment strategies will require board approval. But just wanted to report that the meeting went really well. We stayed the course last year when a lot of other places were moving money around when the market took a nosedive in March, and we stayed the course with our advisor and in their asset allocation strategy, and it worked out really well. I think we had about a 15 or 16% rate of return for 2020, so it was another really strong year. My other 2-minute reports are on PSATs. Just an update on as you all know, the in-person conference is canceled for this year. There's been no definitive date set for a rescheduling of the general session, which is where we vote on any recommended resolutions, policies, bylaws changes. There has been talk that they may try to schedule like a 1-day mini conference in the fall to convene in person to vote on all of the PSATs legislation. So I will keep you posted on that. And then I would also mention that even though the in-person conference was canceled, they're still doing all of the conference workshops and trainings as live webinars. I think you have until, it starts in a couple weeks, but I think you have until April 30th to register for basically like the all access pass. And you can attend as many as you want, either live or on demand after the fact. So if any supervisors, I don't know the price off the top of my head, but it's pretty inexpensive, maybe around $100, which is a great deal because you could feasibly do every single training session if you wanted to. So if anyone's interested, let us know and we'll get you registered.
Is
And
there a
that,
list for those things somewhere, EJ?
yeah, we can get you that. I know
Okay.
they've been publishing some of them in like the PSATs morning news, and I think if you go to their website, you can get it as well. But I think there's like a PDF that exists somewhere that it has a comprehensive list of all of them. So we'll find
Okay.
that and send it to you.
Okay.
That's it.
Oh, that's your last 2-minute report? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right, board discussion items, old business update, COVID-19 update and township operations protocols. EJ.
Yeah, 1 second, just making a note, trying to multitask here. So a couple of updates. Just in general, nothing's really changed at the township in terms of our operations. The building's still closed to the public. All meetings are virtual. Staff is still working on a hybrid rotating basis in the office and working from home. We are just about complete with our new phone system installation, which will be much more user-friendly and more easily accessible for staff working from home. So we're excited to get that in place. It's taken a little longer than we expected, but it's almost done. Some other updates related to COVID-19, the American Rescue Plan, which is the federal stimulus bill that was passed a few weeks ago, included a significant amount of state and local government aid, which was missing in the first couple of relief bills from 2020. Schuylkill Township is due to receive $851,847 in direct relief from the federal government, and there's still a number of outstanding unanswered questions in terms of how that money can be used, what the reporting and record keeping requirements are. But what we've gathered so far is that the money's to be distributed from the Fed to the state, and then the state has a certain time frame within which to distribute it directly to the municipality. So this money is not going to be given to us on a reimbursement basis. We would anticipate getting the first disbursement sometime in June. The schedule, as I understand it, and has been explained by our state legislators, is that we'll basically receive 50% of that amount this year, so about 26,000, and then the other 50% about 12 months from the date of the first disbursement. What we are waiting on is for the Department of Treasury to issue more detailed guidelines on the use and the record keeping and reporting requirements of the funds. So the recommendation from PSATs and our other advisory and state agencies is we have until the end of 2024 to spend this money, so don't rush into it until we know exactly how we can use it. It is a use it. If you don't use it, you lose it, but we have almost 4 years to use it. So we should wait until we know exactly what that money can be used for before we start planning on spending it. But one of the very broad categories of eligible uses is for improvements to sewer, water, or broadband infrastructure, which barring any further restrictions or guidance could include potential MS4 related costs or improvements, flooding, drainage issues, things like that. So we're very anxiously anticipating that guidance. And we've been told that once the Fed issues their guidance, that the state will not be permitted to issue additional guidance that's more restrictive than the Fed guidance. So there are some programs that operate that way where the state can use the money their own way or make it more restrictive. We're being told that is not the case with these funds. So overall, this is really good news. Like I said, there's still a certain degree of uncertainty, but this is good news for Schuylkill Township, and every municipality in the country is receiving funding based on size and population and a couple of other demographic items. So overall, we're excited.
So EJ, I have a quick question for you about that. This is more of an accounting thing. Should we put this in a separate account and treat it like a savings account as opposed to putting it into our general fund?
So that's a great question, and that question was brought up at the PSATs had a town hall on this, I think, a week or two ago. And as I understand it, there's not going to be a requirement that it be separated out in terms of accounting, but I think we should. The short answer is yes. I think it would be, and really we could use it to reimburse our general fund for eligible costs, but I think for record keeping, it would be cleaner and easier to open up a separate account to deposit these funds into.
Okay, I was just going to recommend that myself, especially with the reporting. If you're not quite sure how the reporting, or if there's even an audit for it, to having everything separate would probably make sense. So that would be my recommendation. Okay, cool.
I'm thinking, I know the interest rates aren't really moving anywhere, and they don't seem to be anytime soon, but I'm thinking this could be a potential opportunity to maybe try to negotiate among a couple of our different banks that we deposit money into, since we're talking about a big chunk of money all at once, potentially maybe getting a little better interest rate with a new account. So I plan on looking into that with some of our depositories.
Good. That's great. Thank you.
Certainly. The other thing under COVID-19, just a quick update on some of the relaxed mitigation measures and restrictions that went into effect on Sunday. There were relaxed measures with regard to maximum occupancy of bars, restaurants, retail facilities. The one that really pertains to us, an increase in the maximum occupancy for indoor gathering limits, which is the category that would apply to township meetings, is now up to 25%. So the township meeting room has a maximum occupancy of 55 people. So a quarter of that is 13, I think 13.75 or 13.25. I have it written down here somewhere. But so, you know, if we were to start talking about meeting in person under those limits, we would be basically talking about the board, the staff, you know, myself, Madeline, Bill, the engineer. That's 9 right there. You know, and if we had, you know, multiple representatives from TNM or the police chief or whatever, the point is there would be very little room for public attendance, maybe 2, 3, 4 at the most public attendees. So I think it's something that we should start thinking about, maybe within the next couple months as vaccinations increase and these measures are continuing to be relaxed. But obviously we're seeing some mini spikes right now, so we're not out of the woods yet. But just kind of wanted to put that on the board's radar if and when you're ready to start thinking about or talking about resuming in-person meetings. So that's all.
Okay, thank you. Police accreditation, consideration of approval and acceptance of the Rogers Group LLC, PLEAC accreditation consulting services proposal in the amount of $30,000 payable in 12 monthly installments of $2,500. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. I know we discussed this last month and we tabled it, and I know there's been some discussion all through the month regarding this. Does anyone have any more comments or questions? No? Okay. EJ, do we have any comments or questions from the public?
We do not.
Okay. So Bob, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Susan, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
And Martha, I did actually just want to thank Lieutenant and Chief. They provided us with some additional information that was very helpful to me. So I just want to thank them for that.
Yeah.
Yes, they
Same here.
did. And
Thank you, guys.
yeah, giving us that extra time. I think Chief is listening to us at the moment. Giving us that extra time to go through some of the other information that was given to us, I think was really, really helpful. And thank you very much for providing all of that. Okay. Old business discussion, the Pickering Preserve tree maintenance. EJ.
Yeah, so I put this on the agenda. This was an item that we talked about briefly in the fall during the budget workshop. If you recall, going back to last year, we incurred some minor expenses with our road department to rent equipment to remove a couple of damaged trees in the Pickering Preserve. There's a big grove of old pine trees kind of right along Pat House Road between like where the stove shop is and where the YMCA is, and they're really not good quality trees. They're in pretty bad shape, and we had to rent equipment to take a couple of them out last year, and Nick basically identified about 50 of them that he thought looked dead or diseased or were in really rough shape. So we got a couple of quotes last year, really just for budget purposes. There's really a total of almost 100 trees out there though, and we had 2 different tree companies come out, and they gave quotes that were very similar in price and identical in scope. I think one was 14,000 and one was 14,700. But basically both of these companies said that they all should, that amount included I think 49 trees, and they said that they really all need to come out. They're all diseased or dying or are going to come down at some point. So we budgeted $20,000 for this year, and the discussion during the budget workshop was basically, you know, I think originally we had like 30 or 40 there, and the thought was we get them all taken down, and then we'd start, you know, looking to replant or come up with a plan for planting native trees or some type of, you know, planting design for that area, so it wouldn't just be a barren area where there used to be pine trees. So I'm just kind of looking at this point for some further direction from the board. Those, I mean, if the board just wants to proceed with the same project, about 50 trees to get prices for those, we will need to get updated quotes. Those prices aren't good anymore. Those numbers are below the bidding threshold, so we will not be required to do the advertised sealed bidding process. We'd try to get 3 written quotes though to compare when the price is in that range. I do have a couple of samples of formal tree bidding contracts from some other municipalities that do bid this work out if the board was interested in kind of trying to tackle it all at once instead. So just looking at some direction on what, if you just want to stay within the narrow parameter for this year of just, roughly $15,000 worth of tree work, whatever that'll get us, and then do the rest next year, or if you want to scrap it all together and not do any this year, or if you want to be more aggressive and try to get a price for, we could get a couple of informal quotes for clearing the whole thing, and then we could and then based on what those prices are, we could draft a bid at that point. So just looking for some direction. There are some that really do need to come down for safety reasons. If you drive by there now, you'll see that some that are kind of have already fallen or broken and maybe even on the ground. So there's some basic.
It looks pretty bad at the moment.
I would like to at least walk the site before I vote to take down all of those trees. So that would be my preference.
Yeah, I think starting off with the really sick, dead, what was it, the 30, I think is fine, but the rest of them, I think Susan's right. I think I would like to see after they clear those bad ones, like what's left.
And you're not voting on anything tonight. I'm just getting some direction for what kind of prices.
Yeah.
I
think
would
keeping it
echo
to the
that
limited.
comment. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think keeping it to the limited batch is fine.
I second that as well. And then walk it to see the balance after it's cleared out a bit.
All right.
Yeah.
So basically the direction is maintain the same scope of work that we were talking about last year within budget, and then we'll do that this year, and then put together a plan for next year for the remainder. Perfect. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. Discussion, invasive plants in municipal parks, the Environmental Advisory Council role. Who wants to start this conversation? EJ, Susan?
I can if you would like, Susan, but
Sure.
I'll defer to you.
No, that would be great, EJ.
Okay, so this item is on the agenda at the request of the chair of the EAC. They met a couple weeks, they had the regular monthly meeting a couple weeks ago, after which I received an email from the chair asking for an agenda item because the EAC apparently made a formal motion at their meeting to request that the Board of Supervisors seek their input when making any decisions regarding treatment of invasive plants in township parks. There's not really any action being requested of you. I was kind of confused, and I followed up and didn't get a response to my follow-up. The board does, I mean, my statement would be the board does and has always sought the EAC's input. I'm not really sure why the EAC felt the need to make this motion, because one, they're not asking for any action by the board, and two, what it seems they're asking for is something that's already being done. If the last year, just to provide a little bit of context, the EAC requested that the township get a quote from Weeds Inc. to treat invasive plants in Valley Park, which we did. The EAC reviewed the quote, wanted more time to review it. The board moved forward with approval of it without a recommendation from the EAC, and that's potentially what this is stemming from. However, at the time, we were kind of up against a little bit of a time crunch because the Phragmites in Valley Park were growing out of control. The application to treat them required 2 applications, and the first one really needed to be in before the first frost. So the board, took action based on a time crunch, and the EAC had been requested on numerous occasions to come up with a plan to address and treat the invasives, not only in Valley Park, but also in Pickering Preserve, for at least as long as I've been with the township, for about 2.5 years, and have yet to present or provide a plan. So we do seek and value the input, but ultimately at the end of the day, the Board of Supervisors is elected and charged with making the decisions. And most of the time you go along with the recommendations and advice of your advisory councils. But, you know, this was one instance where you had to make a difficult decision without their recommendation, but that does not mean that their input was not sought or that it was ignored. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments or questions? Okay. New business, consideration of acceptance of Mr. Bud Emmig's resignation from the Schuylkill Township Open Space Commission. Unfortunately, I will make that motion, and unfortunately, I'm going to ask for a second.
Second.
Do I hear a second? Okay.
Unfortunately, second.
Yes, I know, unfortunately. So there's been a motion and a second, and I just want to say Bud has been part of our Open Space Commission. He was one of our founding members of the Open Space Commission, and unfortunately, he is moving out of the township. He is selling his home and moving out of the township, and he's not far away, and he's hoping to come back, but we do have to accept his resignation here. So. Are there any other comments or questions?
He'll be
Okay,
missed.
Bob. Oh, go ahead.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Yes, you're absolutely right. He will be missed. Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Susan, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I unfortunately vote aye as well. Okay, update, Act 537 needs analysis. Consideration of authorization of submission of updated sewer needs analysis to the Valley Forge Sewer Authority. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. And any comments or questions? No? How about EJ? Do we have any public comment or questions on this?
Not on this item, no.
No, okay. The only comment that I want to make is, EJ, I know that this took a long time for you to create. And Russ and Paul, I want to thank you for your help on this as well. This is something that's obviously very needed and took a lot of time. And we want to just thank you guys for your effort for this. I do have a question. It really isn't part of this, but it kind of is. For several years, we have been talking about updating our 537 plan. And now that you guys have done this needs analysis, do you feel that it's necessary for us to update our 537 plan at some point?
I would say in the short term, no. I think we want to at least wait to get some feedback from the DEP and Sewer Authority,
Okay.
before we take any additional steps. I don't know, Russ or Paul, you guys both know more about this stuff than I do. If you have any thought.
I think it's a good idea to obviously submit this analysis, have discussions with the sewer authority, and then after those discussions, see if it's necessary to do the 537 next.
Okay. I kind of thought that's what you guys were going to say, but I just wanted to kind of ask to see if it was something that we really felt that we needed to work on immediately. So, but no, so that's a good thing. So, okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, Bob, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Susan, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Consideration of approval of acceptance of the March 1st, 2021 minor center proposal for police chief recruitment for a not to exceed amount of $6,500 plus travel expenses. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. EJ, do you want to comment on this?
The only thing I would say is, I mean, you all got the proposal, and this process will probably kick off sometime in the beginning of July. There are some additional add-on costs that are optional as part of the process that were included in the proposal, but that you didn't need to decide on now. But when you meet with Dave and discuss the process, you'll at that point decide, whether or not to add those on. So the 6,500 is for Dave's fees on behalf of the minor center, but there's some potential additional add-ons which he'll address with you further.
Okay. And
Hey.
just for public knowledge, this is the same organization that we used to recruit our current township manager. And I think yes, exactly, Tim. We're very, very pleased with him. So that's why we
What do they
wanted
say?
to.
Fool you once, shame on who?
So we thought that this was really a good idea to use these people again, since they just knocked it out of the park with EJ here. So, okay, so the motion has been made. It's been seconded. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Tim?
Yes, EJ, do we need to put any constraints around the travel expenses? Meaning there'll be normal and not the Four Seasons and first class?
Oh yeah, so it would just be mileage only for him.
Okay.
But I will say I just had a conversation with Dave today just to confirm that some of the questions in the proposal. I mean, this is what he does pretty much year round. The majority of his work is manager and police chief recruitments, and almost all of them he's doing right now he's doing virtually. So
Okay.
he defers to the desires of the board, but he's doing a lot of virtual interviews or hybrid or whatever. So, if the board wanted to go that way, there would be no travel expenses.
All right. Thank you.
EJ, do we have any public comment or questions?
Not on this item, no.
Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions from the board? Okay, Bob, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Susan, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Consideration of letter of support for Chester County's grant application for funding to update watersheds, the county's river conservation plan. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. EJ, I have absolutely no idea what this is. So I hate to put you on the spot, but could you explain what this is?
Yes, certainly. And this was kind of a new thing that just came in late last week. The county is applying to DCNR for a grant to update watersheds, which is their water resources management plan, which is about 20 years old. So they, as part of the grant application, they're seeking letters of support from pretty much all the municipalities in Chester County. I know the PRPC already provided one. So that's all. It's a letter of support in support of their grant application.
Yeah, they came to us last week and made a little presentation saying that they're updating it to, it's kind of the water version of Landscapes 3. So they're
Okay.
just gonna like update stream maps and all the waterway stuff. So that's what that was all about.
Okay. So this is county-wide. It's not specific to
Yeah.
Schuylkill Township. Okay.
No, they're looking for a grant, and the DCNR told them that the more people that give letters of recommendation, the better chance they have at getting their grant. So they're
Okay.
asking regional councils of government and regional planning committees to sign on, but they also said municipal governments within those should send their own too, because they're looking at the total amount of letters of recommendation that come in basically.
Okay. Okay. That's kind of what I thought it was county-wide, but I wasn't sure. So, okay. Any other comments or questions from the board? EJ, do we have any public comment on this?
No, not on this item.
Okay. Bob, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Susan, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Resolutions and ordinances. Consideration of adoption of Resolution 2021-08, exonerating liens on certain tax parcels in Schuylkill Township. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. EJ, I'm going to ask you to explain this. I know what this is, but I'm going to ask you to explain this.
Yeah, I think we get one of these just about every year. This is a request from the county. There's some small outstanding tax liens on some parcels in some of these might all be in the same one, but some of the mobile home parks in the township where the mobile homes themselves are no longer there. So they're basically, they need the board's approval to exonerate them, which is basically to wipe them off the tax rolls. New mobile homes, you know, in a lot of these cases might already be on premise and people living there. And so it's with the mobile homes, the tax liens are a little, you know, operate a little differently because it doesn't stick with the property as easily as a single family home. So the total of the liens for these three parcels is pretty negligible, about $225, and that's, I think, multiple years worth of tax liens. So requires a resolution for the board to exonerate it so the county can remove them from their rolls, and so they stop trying to collect from them.
Okay. Does the board have any comments or questions? EJ, do we have any public comment or questions on this?
No.
Okay. Bob, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Susan, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Okay, consideration of advertisement of ordinance 2021-02, amending Article 2, Section 340-16, speed limits shall be amended to include Dorchester Way. The road is to be posted for a maximum speed limit of 25 miles per hour. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second that.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the board? EJ, do you have any comments or comments?
I do not, but there is public comment on this when you're ready.
Okay. If we have no comment from the board, then sure, we'll listen to the public comment.
Okay, just enlarge my screen here. Okay, so this is from Danielle Jouen. Question on the proposed ordinance to lower the speed limit on for Dorchester Way. First, I wanted to thank the board for considering this ordinance change. The only concern that I have heard expressed by neighbors is the placement of the speed limit signs. What guidance does the township follow with respect to the placement of speed limit signs? I was able to find PennDOT regulations that govern placement, but that is limited to state highways. I did not see any guidance in the township ordinance for township roads. I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. It is in the vehicle code somewhere. I know the chief is usually the one who makes the determination on this. I think it might say every half mile for local roads. I mean, we'll follow whatever the guidance is. I know there's a concern about like oversaturation of speed limit signs, considering the length of the Dorchester Way Road. I think, you know, we would be looking at 1 or 2 speed limit signs at the most. So I don't think it would be saturated, but I don't know. I don't know, you know, the exact length of the road off the top of my head. We haven't, you know, this is just to advertise the ordinance, and then, you know, it'll be adopted next month, and then we would erect the sign. So we would make sure that we would have those things answered beforehand.
So
You've said
is
probably
her
2 signs.
is her concern that she's worried that there will be too many or not enough?
Oh, good question. Yeah, I assumed the concern was too many, but maybe not. I don't know, Danielle, if you are able to
Danielle, if you're still on, just either
respond.
answer too many or too little. Sorry.
Just while we're waiting, Chief said probably 2. We'd probably be looking at 2. Yes, Danielle, we can't hear you. The only way you can communicate with us is through the question feature. to type in your questions and comments. I think she's asking if I can unmute her. I think I can, if that's okay with the board. It might take me a second. Is that all right? Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Probably easier that way. No, I can't, Danielle. If you're calling in on a phone line, I cannot unmute you. I think I can only do that if you're connected through the computer. I'm not getting the option. Let me try one other thing. She said she'll.
Oh,
There you go.
Can you? Okay, great.
Sorry about that.
I promise I won't speak until 5 o'clock in the morning when someone mentioned the public hearings and started to twitch. So
Hi, Danielle. How are you?
hi everybody. So I just want to make sure that I can provide information. I don't know if you know, but I have the honor of serving as the head of the HOA for Chapel View Estates this year, and so I have heard one of our neighbors express concern just about the placement of the signs. And so what I'm hoping is that if the more information I have, I can provide that to residents if they are expressing concerns about how many signs would be up. So if there is a township ordinance or something that I can look at and that can provide them and just let them know. I mean, you could put it on my yard if you need to, but as you can imagine, people, are concerned about all manners of things that you would be surprised about. And some people might not want to see the sign in front of their house. And so I would love to see the signs posted, and the more information I have to provide to the residents, I think the easier it will be, and you won't have any opposition or questions come your way.
So I would just, Danielle, thank you. Chief just texted me. He said, in terms of placement, we always try to place them right on property lines as much as possible, so it's not on on one person's property versus the other. We follow the PennDOT standards. I think it's every half mile, and I think your road is less than that. But for loop roads, I think we typically try to have 2. But we could work that out with. Obviously we have to satisfy the minimum PennDOT requirements, but
so is it the PennDOT I mean, if I could follow up with Bill and ask him this question, but the PennDOT regs that I was looking at were 67 PA code 212.108, which is says that when a speed limit sign is posted at an intersection, another one's required 200 feet further down the road. I mean, is that, I guess I'd just like to have confirmation if that's the appropriate PennDOT standard that you follow, so that I can give people a heads up.
I think 75 is the vehicle code, Danielle.
Okay.
And I think it's somewhere in there.
Okay.
That there is definitely a section that basically states, like, on local roads,
okay,
they have to be placed a minimum interval of blank, and I think it's a half mile.
Okay, I can look that up myself then.
Yeah, I'll follow up. I can follow up with you.
Okay, thanks. But my goal is
I can have the chief get in touch with you as well if you wanted to, because he usually kind of determines the best locations to place them.
Okay, great. I'll offer my yard.
All right, great.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Danielle.
Thank you.
Sorry?
I said thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You can mute me.
All right. Okay. So motion was made and seconded, Martha. No
Yes.
further public comment.
Okay. Does the board have any comments or questions? Okay,
Nope.
Bob, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Susan, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Bob, that was very sweet that you were giving him a hug goodnight.
I thought I made it off camera there, sorry about that.
Okay, Madeline, can you scroll down for me, please? I didn't print one of these out. Thank you. Okay, where am I here? Okay, subdivision approval, 1422 Tullamore Lane lot line change. Consideration of adoption of resolution 2021-09, approval of lot line revision submission plan for 1422 Tullamore Lane. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second? Okay, so it's been seconded by Tim. And is this property owner going to be here?
Yes.
Okay,
Give me just one moment.
sure.
I'm gonna make him a panelist, Mr. Randall Wagner. And Mr. Wagner, we should be able to hear you now, and if you have a webcam, you can turn that on now as well.
Mr. Wagner, are you there?
I am. I did turn
Oh,
the webcam on. Can you hear me?
yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can
Great.
hear you.
Okay, so does the board have any questions for him? No? EJ, is there any public comment or questions?
There is none. The one thing I would say is we still have not received the review letter from the Chester County Planning Commission. I wouldn't anticipate there would be any major issues. It's a pretty simple lot line change, but if the board wants to vote on this tonight, it would be a conditional approval. Obviously, any outstanding comments in the engineer's review letter, and I think that was one of the comments anyways. Russ and Paul was the 247 review from Chester County. We would need to get that, and it would need to be a satisfactory review as a condition of approval.
There's also a merger of lots going on here as well as the lot line transfer. But ultimately, there's no planned building or development that goes along with this. It's cleaning up the lots. Where there are now 3, there will end up being 2. And the lot lines will be more favorable to basic planning procedures.
EJ, is there a downside to us tabling this to next month until we get the report from Chester County?
There's no downside to the township. There may be to the applicant. I'm not sure. He may want to respond to that. To the township, there's no downside. I don't think. Not that I can think of. Russ or Paul, would there be any downsides?
Not to the township, but the only understanding is that I believe, Mr. Wagner has this in front of the board, and then there's subsequently a grading permit that has been being reviewed for the last few months. And procedurally, this would have to be approved prior to the grading permit being released, because there's some issues that are in combination with this lot line change and the grading permit. So that's for consideration by the board.
Okay.
The grading permit can't be approved until this plan is approved.
Okay, so my question is, if we approve this conditionally that the Chester County has a positive review of this, that's great if it's a positive review. If it's not, then he has to come back anyway, right?
Right. The choke point would be that the board doesn't sign the plan until the Chester County review comes in, and as long as it's not problematic, it's signed. If they require a ministerial change or something on the plan, that can be done before it's signed as well. If they don't like it, if there are serious problems, then we don't sign it, and we go back to the applicant and say you have to comply with these requirements if you in fact agree with them. Again, remember, all of the planning commission reviews are advisory. They're not required.
Okay.
Yeah.
May
And
I
I would
ask
just
a question?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I would
Is
just
there
add
any
that
reason?
our procedure is that, you know, if the board were to give conditional approval tonight, our process is that prior to any signing, the township engineer would review to confirm that all of their any outstanding comments have been addressed, and they would provide a written recommendation to the board to sign the plans. So you would not sign it until that point.
So there'd be no
Okay.
downside to approving with conditions tonight, right?
That's correct. Incidentally, Madeline, there's a resolution somewhere floating around that covers all this, isn't there?
Yes.
Is there any reason why the county would not approve it?
Was that Mr. Wagner? I'm sorry.
Is there any reason why the county would not approve it?
I'm hard pressed to find any, but I don't do the review for them, so I can't, you know, I can't assume, but I would be surprised.
And is there a typical deadline for them to respond to the application?
30 days, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I have to tell you, we tend to get things on the 29th day and the 23rd hour from them.
Not always. Sometimes
I
it
know,
really
I
just
know.
depends on what the volume that they have on their plate at any given
Yeah.
time of reviews. Sometimes they get it back to us within a week, and sometimes it takes 30 days. They've had it for about 2 weeks now.
Condition 2 is what we're talking about. The consolidation and lot line change must be formally approved by Chester County Planning Commission. There are some other conditions concerning fees. For example, we're not certain how the process of obtaining new deeds will be handled by by Chester County's Recorder of Deeds. Presumably, new deeds will be required to update these changes. And the plan needs to be recorded and returned to us, and fees need to be paid. So these are the conditions that are proposed.
We already have the new lot descriptions drawn, and we're ready for the preparation of the new deeds, but the deeds need to reference the approved plan.
Right.
Okay. So there's been a motion, it's been seconded. There's been some discussion. Does any other board member have any comments or questions? EJ, do we have any public comment or questions?
Not on this item. Nope.
Okay. All right. Bob, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Susan, how do you vote? Aye. And I vote aye as well. Thank you, Mr. Wagner.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
Okay. Additional business. Does anyone have anything for additional business?
I have a couple of things. Yeah.
Okay, I actually just have a quick question for both Russ and Paul. In one of my emails that I received, and I can't remember who it came from, but it was talking about different grants. I understand that Arlie grants are going to be open again, possibly. Have you heard anything about those?
Yeah, I believe the Arlie grants are like cyclical, and they come open on regular time periods, I believe, and we can look into that. You know, we have forwarded to EJ for review kind of an outline for like, and I don't want to make this more formal, like a grant program where we identify these particular opportunities and we identify a schedule. So you as a township supervisor can start looking ahead, seeing when certain grants are going to be coming that are going to be eligible and when their periods are, and then figure out what a project, like an Arlie grant from PennDOT, you know, what types of projects do they cover? You know, do you have any intersections, signal upgrades, things like that that you want to look at doing, and then start to plan for them and be ready for when those grant periods come open. mean, that's,
Okay, so
go ahead.
EJ, I guess my question is, the grants that we had to cancel, were any of those Arlie grants or were they all just green light go?
Green light go only.
They were all green light go only. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind. That was my bad. I thought that we could reapply for the Arlie grants, but never mind if they were the green light go. But
Yeah, but once again, Martha, you should look at those because once those Arlie and Green Light Go grants, there may be some overlap between the two of them project types. And maybe, you know, it didn't get a Green Light Go approval. It may be able to be packaged a little differently and then be eligible for an Arlie grant. So we should look
okay.
at that.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
that's coming up in June. So
Yeah.
okay, because we did get approval for the Green Light Go grants, but then when COVID hit, they canceled everything.
Right.
So,
we would still like the
EJ,
funding.
yes,
So-
exactly. We want the money when we want the improvements for these intersections. EJ, is that, I hate to put that on your to-do list, but I don't know if that's something,
Well, we'll
I
look
don't know.
into it. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, we'll look
okay.
into it for sure. Yeah.
Okay, that would be good. I would, I think that that would be really a good idea for us to do so that we can get these upgrades to our traffic lights and intersections and get somebody else to pay for it. So that would be even better. So that's the only, it's not really additional business. It was more of a question. So does anyone else have any additional business? EJ, I thought you said you had something.
I do have two things. Yeah.
Okay.
Just wanted to real quick point out, we did receive a formal agenda request for tonight, and I sent it to the board, although I spoke to the individual and they agreed to put it off till next month. Someone living along Country Club Road that has some concerns about the tree removal and use of land along Country Club Road. We just got this request on Friday though. So I spoke to the individual who submitted the request and, you know, asked him if he would agree to put it off a month to give us some time to look into it, because I was not really aware of the issue. But it was in your packets for tonight. I told him that I would, you know, make sure to share it with the board and mention it tonight, and then, you know, we'll report back on it in a month. The other thing I have is just the board workshop is next week on Thursday. And the two items for the workshop agenda are the presentation of the 2020 financial audit. That's in your packets for tonight as well, and I will resend them. So Jeff from Barbicane Thornton will virtually attend the workshop to give a presentation on the audit, and then Paul will be there as well with myself to discuss the Paul Lehman Drive storm sewer project. That's it.
Okay. All right. Does anyone else have any additional business? Okay, let me get to these announcements. Give me just a second here. I'm sorry. Okay, so the announcements that I have for April. The governor issued orders to relax the COVID-19 mitigation measures effective Sunday, April 4th. Masking, social distancing, and adherence to business protocol requirements remain in effect. In light of the increasing number of coronavirus infections and hospitalizations in Pennsylvania, the Schuylkill Township Board of Supervisors strongly urges residents, even those who have received vaccines, to remain vigilant and follow all protocols. Township residents looking for testing and/or vaccine information should visit the Chester County Coronavirus COVID-19 site. The Schuylkill Township offices remain closed to the public, but all township services continue to function. Staff is working remotely and responding to emails and voicemails. Building permit applications are being received electronically via the U.S. mail or by drop off to the delivery bin at the township building. PennDOT has announced that Route 23 will be closed between Pauling Road and Country Club Road for gas main installation work by PECO beginning April 21st, 2021. The closure will be in place Mondays through Fridays and possibly Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. through Tuesday, November 30th. Local access will be maintained up to the construction zone. The Schuylkill Township 2021 real estate tax discount payment period closes on April 30th. Again, if you have not received your township tax bill, please contact Aaron Kern. Although the federal and state income tax filing deadlines have been extended to May 17th, the deadlines for all local income tax has not been extended and is still April 15th. The Township's Historical Commission and Open Space Commission have openings for members. If you are interested, please send a letter and a resume to the Township Manager at twpmgr@schuylkilltwp.org. April 4th through April 10th is National Library Week, a time to celebrate our libraries and library workers' contributions. Whether people visit in person or virtually, libraries offer endless opportunities to transform lives through education and lifelong learning. Visit the Phoenixville Public Library at phoenixvillelibrary.org and begin your exploration of its intellectual and educational opportunities. Mark your calendars. April 26, 2021, residents are invited to attend the free Penn State Extension Spotted Lanternfly virtual public meeting at 7 p.m. via Zoom. Information on how to join the meeting will be available on the township's website. May 13th, 2021, the Schuylkill Township Environmental Advisory Council will host a virtual zero waste presentation on plastic pollution solutions. The speaker is Mr. Farron Savitz from Penn Environmental. Look for more information on the township website very soon. July 10th, 2021, East Pikeland Township and Schuylkill Township will host an e-waste recycling event at the Kimberton Fire Company, open to East Pikeland and Schuylkill Township residents only. Additional information will be released closer to the event date. And I'm assuming that will be on our website.
Yeah, it's already been posted on the Facebook page as well.
Okay, great. So does anyone have any other announcements? All right, EJ, do we have any public comment?
Yes, we do. All right. First comment came in from Ellen Jansen, 15 Galway Lane. Given that Wawa was mentioned at the end of the 2nd Avenue house presentation, what is happening with the Wawa at Route 23 and White Horse Road? If that doesn't go forward, is it possible for a Wawa to be built where the G Lodge restaurant is on Route 23? People are concerned that would happen. I can answer the first question, what is happening with the Wawa at Route 23 and White Horse Road? Absolutely nothing, Ms. Jansen. There's been no updates to the township in, I think, about 2 years at this point. I want to say it was
That's correct.
Beginning of 2019, they withdrew the zoning appeal, and there's been no movement since. So if it doesn't go forward, is it possible for a Wawa to be built where the G Lodge restaurant is on Route 23? I do not know the answer to that off the top of my head. I don't know the zoning for that property.
I don't think so under the current zoning. I think it's R2 all the way through there. And
I know it's zoned residential. I just don't know if it's R1 or R2.
Yeah, we talked about this in another meeting, and I think I looked it up and saw R2 all the way through there, including on the property for the G Lodge. So that's existing non-conforming.
Okay. All right. So, Ms. Jansen, I do have some other public comment to get to, but if you have any follow-up to that, feel free to type it in, and we'll get to it. So the next comment is from Steve Coons. I would like to add some comments on a previous matter, the invasives plant management. Okay, then there's no additional comments immediately after that. Scrolling down. All right, so Steve just commented, I would like to be unmuted, please. Do I have the board's permission to unmute Steve?
Sure.
Steve?
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Most of you know that I'm the vice chair of the Environmental Advisory Council, And I had hoped to provide some comments on this invasive plants management issue back about 45 minutes ago when it was being discussed. And I should be a little more savvy at these Zoom things by now, but I guess just pushing the button to raise my hand didn't do anything. And by the time I realized I had to type my comment into the little box, you had already moved on. So thanks for accommodating me now. Some of you probably know that the EAC has formed an invasives plant management subcommittee consisting of Jonathan Myers, Earl Cram, Karen Guillermo, and myself. And we have begun to investigate and inventory the types of invasive plants that are becoming established in Valley Park and Pickering Preserve. And in fact, 2 weeks ago, we had a field inspection out at both locations to see just what's there. We're also in the process of researching and writing up sheets on specific types of mechanical and chemical controls that have been found to be effective in controlling each invasive species. Naturally, our being the Environmental Advisory Council, our general focus is to try to decrease the use of herbicides if possible and increase other methods like cutting or mowing. But we do recognize that in some situations, chemicals can be the most effective alternative. As I think was mentioned, we've been asked to suggest specific alternatives to what Weeds Inc. plans to do at Valley Park. But a lot of critical information is missing from their proposal, or as EJ mentioned, their quote, including any mention in their proposal about cattails, which we understand is one of the target species that they're looking to control. And so until we really know what they propose to do and where, we really can't offer an alternative. And we've been trying to get information. We have a copy of their Weeds Inc. proposal from October. And like I say, it doesn't mention cattails. All it talks about is Phragmites. We have a copy of the permit for use of herbicides at Valley Park, which was not issued to Weeds Inc., but is issued to the township. And again, it's very unclear as to what's supposed to be done or where. It just lists 2 chemicals and gives it an acreage of treatment area, but it's not clear where they are. And when we were out on our field visit at Valley Park a couple of weeks ago, a couple of things we noticed. One was that in the pond area where there's Phragmites and cattails growing, it seems like they're relatively controlled. I mean, they're not spreading wildly out of control. And the Phragmites close to the shed where you first come in, behind the shed there on the left side, appears to be less controlled. But again, it's not clear from any of the information we've got from Weeds Inc. or the township which of these areas or both of them are supposed to be treated. So one thing I wanted to suggest is we, the EAC subcommittee, think it would be helpful for one of us to contact Weeds Inc. directly to get the missing information, either by phone or through an on-site meeting. So I wanted to ask if the board thought that would be appropriate or inappropriate.
Steve, I think at the moment, the board has made a decision to move forward with having Weeds Inc. Do this initial removal of these invasive plants. And the board would like the EAC to come up with a maintenance plan so that we no longer have to use a particular company like this.
Right.
We want to get these things under control and then have your commission make a recommendation to the board going forward.
Right. And we understand that, the board is committed to with this contract with Weeds Inc. And we're not trying to change that at all. What we're trying to do, Martha, is understand what that contract entails. I don't know that anybody understands what is supposed to be sprayed on what sort of a timetable out there at Valley Park. And I would think for no other reason than liability and the township having its name on this permit, somebody would want to know what's going on there. And we're just trying to understand that. Again, you know, to propose an alternative, we want to know what we're proposing an alternative to. And the second part, I guess, of what I wanted to say is that, and I don't know if this, we did prepare a generic request for proposal, a short list of information that should be included, we think should be included in future proposals for for invasive control.
You know,
And
Steve, and that's great. That this is the kind of information that
Right.
we really want to receive from the Environmental Advisory Council. But until we receive these recommendations from you, we will continue to move forward in the way we always have.
Okay, but on this request for proposal, I sent a copy of it, and it's just a draft at this point, to EJ and to Susan this morning and asked that it be distributed to the board members, and I don't know if you've gotten that.
I haven't even seen it yet, Steve. No, if you just sent it today, I haven't even seen it yet.
All right, well, that's something I think I'd like the board to look at, because again, it's just basic information, like a sketch of what's supposed to be treated or controlled, or whatever the plan is.
And again, Steve, like I said, I think this is really good information, and I think that this is something that you should forward to the board. But until we receive this information from you, the board is going to continue following the procedures that it has been until we get alternative recommendations from you.
Okay.
Hey, Steve,
yes.
Phil Brennan, can I jump in here? I heard the word liability and I perked up a little.
I thought you might.
It's inconceivable to me that the township could be liable for hiring a contractor to perform a service unless there's something willful misconduct. So I'd ask you to take that off the table so I can go back and relax again as I was. When you say liability, I get nervous.
Yeah. But, there's spraying chemicals that, around, we don't know where, within, several hundred feet of Anderson Farm or the people, on the south side of the road. We don't know if they've been contacted.
Township staff knows where they applied.
Well, we've been asking the township for that information and we're not getting it. In fact, I also have, a list of 6 specific things related to this that I've been looking for about a month now.
Steve,
and I've gotten no.
Steve, I think I've already explained to you what we expect from, what the board expects from the EAC, and that is a maintenance plan for invasive plants. We need you to move forward with getting us that plan. Talking about what's happening in the past and what's happening right now is not moving forward. We are asking that the EAC come up with future maintenance plans for recommendation for the board.
All right, Martha, and we will do that.
Please focus on that.
But are you saying that we cannot get any information about the current proposed plan?
We're not concerned about the current plan, and the request is actually to consider this plan as not relevant to your activity right now. We're looking for something completely unrelated to the Weeds Inc. contract. I don't think that future activity on that property is dependent on what Weeds Inc. is doing. I think it's more, please provide us with an independent plan for the property after this Weeds Inc. contract has been completed.
I don't know what the reluctance is to give us this information. I could do a right to know law request, but I thought we were all batting for the same side.
Well, we are. You've been given everything, Steve. I'm sorry. So
Yeah.
I think we need to move on. I think we need to move on with this. So thank you for your comments, Steve.
All right,
And,
thank you for
please
considering them.
consider what we have made a request of the EAC. Thank you. EJ, do we have any other public comments?
Just one from Ellen Jansen. She said, "Thank you, Mr. Mentry and Mark Donovan."
Welcome.
You're welcome.
Okay. Do we have any pending? Nope. All right. I will make the motion to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you,
Sorry.
everyone.
Hey,
We were gonna,
Martha, we have an
Yeah,
exec session.
we're
Yes,
going to
we
reconvene
do.
in executive session. I'll be sending you a link shortly, but give me about
Okay.
1 minute. Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
EJ.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks.
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, good night, everybody.
Good night.
All right.
Bye.
See you later,
Thank
Buzz.
you.
And
So
Paul.
long.
Everybody.